This is my season for grace, for favor. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Yes, it is. Yes, this is my season for grace and favor. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Yeah. Listen, I haven't been perfect, no, but I sure have been faithful. Yes, I've been faithful. You see, God's got a purpose, no, and yes, I know He's able. I've got a seed in the ground that He's blessing. No more stressing. I've got a seed in the ground. Now I know Him, and now I can show Him. This is my seed for grace and favor. Yeah. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Oh. Everything is working together for my good. Help me say, everything is working together for my good. It may look bad right now. Everything is working, but it's gonna work out together for my good. No matter what you're dealing with right now, everything it's gonna work out together for your good, for my good. Let's go to the next part. Say it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's gonna work out. It's working for my good. Don't you give up. It's good. Don't you give in. It's good. Hang on in there. It's good. It's working for my good. My good. My good. It's working for my good. Well, hello and welcome to another Ag Up World episode with your host, Coach K. Yes, agriculture for a united people. Ag Up World podcast is all about planting, growing, and harvesting together. This episode is all about value added. And so we want to talk about ourselves first. You got to set the right environment, okay, for what you're planting. You got to dig deep. You got to get dressed. You got to put your war clothes on and be ready for the next steps, okay? It's time to turn the page and go after what is for us, okay? And so, yes, in doing so, once we get dressed, we have to start fertilizing and watering with the right things. Things like this podcast is definitely here to help you grow. And so I encourage you to find other things in those areas that you are looking for growth. And it be complete and good information. You know the truth is in you, it's around you. Facts is one thing, truth is another, and we are always listening out for the truth. So I just encourage you guys to continue on in truth, and making sure that you recognize that in order to plant and grow and get to the harvest, you have to be intentional. You have to know that this is what you want to do. You can't, oh, it's a half-time, part-time job. This is a go all in. And so, of course, it's all about foundation building. And everybody knows I believe in compliance and quality control. With that being said, this grant alone is set up as a portal, which is very easy to follow. It is the application for the value added producer grant. You have to use the portal, which is good because we need line by line to understand exactly what it is that we need. Sometimes we may skip over lines feeling that there is no need. And so we're going to go through that tonight. So I really appreciate everybody who is listening in. And so it is interactive. You can ask questions. And I will go to questions at certain points in this walkthrough. Please share, like, and subscribe to Ag Up World. This is definitely going to be helpful for a lot of people. And so I really like this platform, YouTube, so that I can, when I have time, which is a Sunday night, to try to get out information, to make sure that people are getting what they need to proceed in the ag world. And so the value added producer grant is one. We're just going to jump right into that. I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully this time, the last time I tried to do this, I was still on screen making crazy faces. So hopefully this time we'll be able to just walk through and go smooth sailing here. I am, again, Coach K. And this is the value added producer grant. And yes, in this special time tonight, normally we air around 9:30 p.m. because it's live and we do have guests. Everybody I know is working sun up to sundown. Seldom do we have a moment. Hence, a lot of people do like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter for those reasons. But I definitely want people to dive in deep. And so with that being said, I have come up with this value added producer grant so that we can definitely make sure that we are on the same page about what we're doing. So I guess I could stay on it. It's not going to hurt too bad with me being here. So let's just move forward. Just for those who are tuning in for the first time, Agripreneurs is the nonprofit that I started. And of course, it combines agriculture and entrepreneurship. It is something that I began in 2019, and I'm very proud of the progress we've made. And there again is your host, me, Kieran Simmons. I am the CEO of the nonprofit Agripreneurs. And when you see me, just understand that I have a team. A lot of times when people reach out to me, I'm listening. I am the sounding board, and I try to take in as much information as needed. But this is the Ag team. Terry and Parker, who is an environmental engineer from Mercer University. She's the operations director, Greenhouse Consultants. And we also have Brian Davis. IT is very important in this day and age. And so our IT solutions director is Brian Davis with Steph Tech Services. And he's awesome and has helped us really get a handle on what we need to be doing through the website and a one-stop shop for our people. Janelle Menifee is our climate smart ag director. We're working on a solar farm right now near Augusta. And so, yes, Janelle Menifee has been around quite some time, and you can look her up, Solar Time USA. And she has been working with us also since our beginning. She's also one of our board members. Daniel Fitch, Natural Leaders Media, he's usually here, but I sent a shout out to him. I felt like we didn't have to drag him out tonight because, again, we're going to try to pull this off. Natural Leaders Media, though, is our media director. So as we move forward with documentaries and just some live feed in other places, he is our guide in that direction. And of course, last but not least, Millie Coleman. And she is the founder of Farmer Mills, which is it is a farm, and it is growing, and it covers so many different things, from herbs to she even has a children's book. So Millie is awesome. She is a 5th generation farmer, and she's currently helping farmers all over. She's also works with Fort Valley State University as well, as an extension officer. So you can also look Millie Coleman up. But yeah, that's the team. We love her dearly. And this is all about agriculture for a united people. The campaign to bring our centennial farmers and our new farmers state to state together so that we can all move into the marketplace, reach new heights in the agriculture world. And it is definitely a spinoff, Ag World, Agriculture for a United People. And I've been hosting it since December. So our regular nights, again, are Sunday, 9:30 p.m. And YouTube is our streaming site. Well, let's get down to business. Value Added Producer Grant. If you just Google it, this will pop up. You'll be able to click right on it. Rural Development is hosting this grant. And as you can see, the application window is now open. And this is open until April 17th. And when it says 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, that means electronically. Electronic applications are accepted up until that time. But please be aware that if you are walking an application in, and you can get a physical application from the Rural Development Office, you will need to make sure it is there in their office before the close of business. Okay. Who can apply? So when we're talking about the Value Added Producer Grant, it is important to know that this is been around for a while, and it is targeted toward agricultural producers. And producer means anybody who's growing anything. That would make you a producer, okay? In associated groups. So that may mean cooperatives or people who come together to form a business around production. Farmer and rancher cooperatives as well. And that rancher includes animals. So we're talking about, of course, goats, sheep, cows, cattle, hogs, pigs, and chickens, whatever you may be ranching, farmer rancher cooperatives. Agricultural producer does mean individual farmer or rancher as well. Okay. Majority control producer-based business ventures. In other words, projects or campaigns that have come together, and they are, again, majority controlled by producers. Okay, there's a QR code on the screen that could take you directly to the Value Added Producer Grant webpage. And this program, what does it do? Specifically, is to help agriculture producers generate new products, create or expand marketing opportunities, and increase producer income. So if you found out that you can apply, you're one of, you fall into either one of those categories, then this program is geared to help you generate new products, create or expand marketing opportunities, and increase producer income. Some examples of value-added activities include jams and jellies, and we just consider those spin-offs made from produce grown on your farm. Who is the father of value-added? I'm going to pause here. George Washington Carver. Okay, how many different products did he make from the peanut? Hundreds. And so, yes, grown from your farm, jams and jellies, or any type of value added product activities. Textiles woven from fleece harvested on your ranch. Fleece, that means from wool, like from sheep or any animal. Textiles woven, you can make coats from goat hair and a number of things. And so anything woven in textiles, even though this is specific to something you may harvest, but it also includes fibers like cotton and hemp fibers, anything that textiles can be made of. How can you use these funds? That is very important. So grant and matching funds can be used for planning activities. That means we're not quite sure what we want to do, but we got a good think tank together and we have some activities that we need to carry out first to figure out exactly what we want to do. Working capital expenses related to producing and marketing value-added agricultural products. Okay, so when we think of working capital expenses, they include processing costs, marketing and advertising expenses, eligible inventory, and salary expenses. So if you're thinking about starting a processing plant, or possibly maybe even a website, processing plant, that would include processing costs. That means machinery and things you may need for processing, packaging, storage. Marketing and advertising expenses could include a website build out, and that can be, included. Eligible inventory and salary expenses, again, and I would say something like the first 6 months there. So this would be like a part of working capital expenses. It's more like startup costs. Okay. What exactly would you need maybe for the first 6 months to get it jumped off before it can actually start sustaining itself? And that's very important that you are creating something that can sustain itself. Okay. What governs this program? I put this up here because I thought it was very important to understand as we are changing presidents and just having different people in place and all the chaos going on around agriculture. This particular program has been around since 2000, and so that's always good news. It was amended again in 2018, but the Value-Added Producer Program is authorized under Section 231 of the Agriculture Risk Protection Act. So this is definitely probably part of risk management in helping to ensure that farmers can continue on. Okay. Federal regulations associated with this particular program provide comprehensive information about the program's purpose. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about this and you don't mind reading, you find some extra time on your hands, the Federal Register is definitely where you can look this up. Okay, and getting started. So you can either pause this or get your pens and pencils out, or your computers if you already have an idea that you're ready to apply. Even if you don't have all the pieces together, we can definitely walk through the sign in of this thing and getting it started. Okay. Step 1, GAP does not stand for Good Agricultural Practices. Not this go around. It stands for the Grant Application Portal. Okay, so keep that in mind. You're going to see those letters quite a bit, GAP. And that is what that means as we go along. It means Grant Application portal. And so this is the way that you have to apply for this grant, which is great. Because again, I'm going to help you through this particular episode, walk through the value added application portal. Applications with an existing e-authentication account may continue their login process through login.gov. This is very important that you develop a login.gov account. You're definitely going to need a UEI number, which goes through SAMS.gov. And so that'll be your way to also be able to authenticate yourself. And you can also create an account, login.gov, through creating a UEI. Okay, so of course, once you get signed in, it's going to say welcome to whoever this is. Your name is going to pop up. And I like the personal touch here. Again, access to the GAP home page. GAP standing for the portal, exactly, the application portal. So I'm so proud of you guys for remembering that, okay? Again, this is standing for the grant application portal. So this homepage and with the welcome message, and it's going to ask you, do you want to learn more about the program here? And it has a nice little link you can click on there, and then it says, do you have an active SAM registration? Remember that a UEI number is going to come with your SAM registration. So don't want to just skip over this. That's very important. SAM registration is needed to even apply. Okay, so we encourage you to complete or renew your registration at your earliest convenience. This is 100% free through the U.S. government website. And so, and it must remain active through the application process. So it's the beginning of the year. It may be time to renew with the Secretary of State. In order to get your UEI, you would definitely have to be in good status with the Secretary of State. So make sure that that is current and up to date to ensure that your SAMS number is active. So the VAPG homepage, again, GAP stands for Grant Application Portal. The window includes the window that opens and when it closes. So you see that there. And it opened as of October 1st. I don't know if we knew that, but we do have that information now. Additional training also is available, and they have a tutorial. So if I am not quite being understood, there is a long video tutorial that you can watch as well. Okay, managing applications. So this is something you can do in grants.gov if you are a person who understands that you can apply for more than one grant at one time. And so this has managed users. When you first go in, edit applications, as you can see, delete applications, and these options are available. Okay, and basically manage users is who can actually access your particular application. Edit the application as you go along, of course. You can come back, so you don't have to try to do it in one sitting. You cannot do it in bits and pieces. You will have to complete and go. But again, this is a great portal. And once the application window has closed, you will only be able to manage users and view applications. But you will not be able to make any changes. Okay. All right, ready to start a new application. Click apply now. So during the open application window, which is where it looks like this here, ready to apply over there with that big yellow apply now is how we get this thing started. Okay. All right, first things first, save and continue button. That is very important as we move forward in making sure that we don't lose anything. A lot of times as we are working on open portals like this, we may forget to save and continue. So make sure as you go along, you can just click on it. If you just know you've been on there for a while, you don't want to lose anything, okay? Save and continue will just make sure that you don't lose any information that you may have already put into it, okay? Collaborating with the manager users feature, okay? Again, as you are working on your application, you may also have a grant writer there, a consultant, technical assistance provider, anyone that may help you with your agribusiness also can be included, okay? So you can provide editing access to the application by clicking on manage users, okay? Now, all representatives and collaborators must have an active e-authentication account. Okay, if they do not, of course, they can create one. In additional authentication setup instructions can be found in this user guide. So they actually have a user guide portal that you can look through if you don't quite understand. But again, everybody has to have an e-authentication account to continue or be added on to your manage users tab. Okay, collaborating with the manage users features. Okay, assign users to the application by entering their e-authentication ID or login.gov email and selecting their role from the drop-down menu. So this right here is where you can see that as you are managing your users, how do we add them? If you click on here, you can see add user, and you would have to use their login.gov email or their e-authentication ID. Okay, so you may assign roles as a representative or a collaborator. And I thought it was important to kind of go through exactly what they define as a representative and a collaborator. As we go forward and we have partners on different projects, and even as an individual farmer or rancher, you may bring in collaborators. So it states here, a representative is someone from the applicant entity who will assist the authorized representative with completing the VAPG application. Okay, so whoever the farmer, rancher is or business is the authorized representative. And so it could be an owner or an employee, but it's not a third party contributor. Okay. A representative will not be able to submit the final application, as this must be done by the authorized representative. Okay. And that is whoever started the application, who has signing authority for the applicant entity. Okay. And we'll talk about the applicant a little bit later. But understand, as you add a managed user, you will also have to assign whether they are a representative or a collaborator. Okay, so what's a collaborator? A collaborator on the value-added grant application is an individual or organization who agrees to work alongside the applicant to contribute their expertise, resources, or support to a proposed application. Okay, so collaborators can be experts in relevant fields or institutions. You may be working with the Federation. You may be working with Southwest Georgia Project. And these people may be considered collaborators, okay? And strictly voluntary and arranged between the applicant and the collaborator. An applicant can revoke or remove collaborators' access to an application at any time. The applicant is responsible for any agreements or contracts that you have entered in with the collaborator. So just be mindful if you have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, or a MOA, memorandum of agreement, with someone, you still will have to honor that, and we are not responsible, you or me or USDA, for any agreements or contracts that you may have set up around this value-added producer grant. Okay, collaborating with managed use feature. So click add user, assign representative, a collaborator. Once you do that, these people will now be able to access your application by logging in to the grant portal. Okay, VAPG, GAP means grant application portal. Okay. And they can only authorized representatives can submit the final application. Okay, so keep that in mind. The application, okay, that meant I'm supposed to be checking to see if there's any questions. Okay, so just make sure, like, if you have any questions, you can post them as we go along. We really just got started. And now we're into the actual application. And all of this is through the Value Added Producer Grant portal. Okay. So completing the application, you start a new application by clicking on that yellow button, apply now. If you are returning, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you would edit your application. Okay. So once you actually begin, do not look for the apply now button. After you are the authorized representative for this grant and you get it started, every time you return, it will be through the edit application tab. Okay, so that's very important that you understand that as you go back in. Remember, we just talked about the save and continue. Make sure you do that so you don't lose anything. And if you log out, you can come right back through the edit application tab. Okay. First things first, you are returning to the application. This is the only section within the portal where you can modify the legal name of the applicant entity. The state where the agricultural commodity that is subject of the application produced, harvested, or employee tax identification number. So this is if you're using a group or you may have an entity, this is where you can actually start to save legal information. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And there is the legal name. Whether you're just using yourself, then it would be your social security number where it says EIN, taxpayer, TIN, employee is EIN, taxpayer, TIN, and it could be your social if it is just you as a farmer or rancher individual. And of course, you will put the state, which is Georgia, on there as well. And don't forget to hit that famous button, save and continue. Okay. The first name, last name, organization name, email for the authorized representative. In other words, you, whether you're the farmer rancher or you are the person applying on behalf of the group. Okay. Again, it will auto-populate from your e-authentication account. And so applicants will need to fill in the title and telephone number for the authorized representative. So this, again, is who's ever applying for the grant. This is where you would actually have your chance again to put in your title and telephone number. Okay, filling out the application contact page. This is the same process as described. If you have, again, someone else that you want to add in as a user, authorize, this would be the where you would put that contact information in. Okay. The authorized representative does have the option to add the representative or collaborators to an application through the manage user option on the home screen or the top right corner of the application context page. So there is two places where you can add a representative or collaborator. So if you've already done that at the beginning, you've added in right at the right when you added yourself, then you don't have to do that here. It is already in the system if you have already added a representative or collaborator. Okay, so this is if you have not done that and you want to add a user, you can do it here. Okay, the point of contact on matters involving this application can be the authorized representative. It can also be someone you have elected as a representative or a collaborator. And here is where you would use the drop down arrow to select. Okay, so if you already added them at the beginning, right here where it says point of contact, there's a drop down and you will see those people there. If you hadn't added the desired user yet, you can do so on the previous screen. So they should be here and listed if you want them to be the point of contact. Sometimes as a farmer or rancher, we're very busy, so we may again have a representative or a collaborator there where if there's any problems with the application, if anything goes wrong, then this is again where you can involve others to assist you again with the application process. Entity. Okay, so legal name of applicant entity. This is going to be hooked to an individual no matter what. But again, if you are a cooperative or you have a project or program that is majority controlled by producers, and you may have a separate entity name for them. So this is where that would go. Or let's say, my name is Coach K and I got Coach K Farms. Okay. So Coach K Farms has its own EIN number, and I would have put that in at the very beginning. That is part of my authentication account is under Coach K Farms in that particular EIN number. But this is step one. You will need to complete it. The UEI number and the SAM registration expiration date. That should have come to you in an email. Again, your SAM registration expiration date and the UEI number are simultaneously together. And so, again, it should show you when it expires. And your UEI number, again, is connected to your SAM's registration. Okay. And it must be for the applicant entity applying for this particular grant. So you can't just use anybody's UEI identifier. You have to have one that is connected to the applicant and the applicant applying for the value added producer grant. Entity details. It could be, if you're a farmer rancher, it could be the farm address. In your congressional district, you can Google that. Here is house.gov. And of course, you just put in your address and it'll let you know what congressional district you're in. And so you would put that number down there at the bottom where it says congressional district. So, of course, applicant address, it could be the farm or wherever the entity's address is. It would need to go there. And then to find your congressional district, house.gov is a way to do that. And you will put in your address and it will give you a number that you will put here at the bottom. Filling out entity details. Okay, the applicant must certify to their citizenship. This grant is available to all of the United States and its territories. So applicant demographic information is optional, but it is encouraged. And so, of course, you can put down there whether you're Asian, American Indian, Black, Native, Hispanic, Hawaiian, other Pacific Islands, white. And so definitely let them know that you are a citizen as you don't forget to save and continue. Okay, answer all eligibility questions. There is no skipping over this. Include those related to debarment, suspension, or federal debt. Okay, do I have to fill this out? Yes, you do. Some questions may create eligibility concerns, especially if you leave them blank. If this situation applies to you and you have questions, contact your state representative using the need help icon on the bottom left here. And that's just if you, again, have been disbarred or suspended or have federal debt. And just keep this in mind. Most federal grants, federal governments, anything, USDA is a federal government. And so they are all connected. So I'm not saying that the IRS is connected, but all the debt for USDA, if you have any in a conservation plan or a loan or anything like that, it could throw up red flags. Reach out to your local office just to see, and it says here your state representative, and you can find them by clicking on the need help button on this page. Application details. This is very important. There are a number of reasons why you are applying, but you should have a clue about exactly what project you're going to use this money for. Okay, so where it says descriptive title of applicant's project and provide an executive summary as detailed in the instructions, this is very important. And again, a lot of the information that you're going to gather for this particular grant is going to help you with other grants, preparing you for other grants. And so it's important that you complete this in its entirety. So asking you something like descriptive title of your project. Here they have an example of bottled milk and ice cream. So that definitely sounds like a processing plant from the cow to the bottle or to the carton of ice cream. And it was is that descriptive? You could definitely go into making it full sentences, 3 minimum. An example of project descriptions include packaging meats, bottled milk and ice cream, hot sauce and salsa, vacuum pack, halibut fillets, that's a fish, organic vegetables, hempcrete, wall panels. So this even involves industrial hemp. So craft spirits, whiskey, bourbon, vodka. So this includes a number of ways, again, to help increase your bottom line. So, and those are the things that would go there for when it says application detail and is asking you to be descriptive. So, yeah, what exactly do you see, your farm going to the next level? What do you feel like it needs to go to the next level? And here's where you can be descriptive about the project that you feel will, again, propel you to that next level. Applicant must provide grant details about their project to include what is your grant type, request grant amount, and matching funds information. So we're going to go through all of that. Again, the planning grant is a grant to facilitate the development of a defined program of economic planning activities. Okay. specifically for the purpose of paying for conducting and developing it like a business plan or feasibility study around your actual project, a planning grant. Or you could use a working capital grant. That's the other side to this, and it's a grant to provide funds to operate your value added project. So after you figured out exactly what you want to do, then we can talk about the money it would take again to move this into processing or marketing your value added product. Working capital, you can just request $250,000, and but we're definitely going to need to know exactly line items what that is, and just depending on if it goes over a certain amount, you may have to have some matching funds, and so we're going to talk about that as well, what matching funds looks like. Applicants may only apply for either one or the other. You can't apply for both. And depending on the option you choose, there may be, subsequent or more questions in the portal, which are related to that specific option. Okay. So I'm just doing like a guide, walk through the guide for the portal. But again, just depending on which one you choose, there may be more questions related to that particular option. So filling out application details, okay, project end date, okay. You need to know that you have a window that this project must go in, okay. The time frame for the grant period is a maximum of 3 years or 36 months, okay? And that is from the date of the award, and it depends on the complexity of your project. So your proposed grant period should begin no earlier than the anticipated award announcement date, which is usually 2 or 3 months after that, after it closes. And then in the annual notification, it should end no later than 36 months following that particular date. So understand that too, that you have to know when your project is going to start and that it can't go past 3 years. So understanding that your project has a window, a time frame for this grant period, okay? So once the grant is closed in April, they're going to do a review. They're going to put out in an announcement the winners. And so at that point, hopefully, even before you started, your project date, and they're already asking that in this portal, project start date and project end dates for your proposed projects. So they already want you to know going in, if you started, it should take this long. And that's why the planning grant is really important in helping you to realize you have a 3-year window, that this processing plant, if you was trying to get, ice cream, if you was trying to, package a halibut, the time frame for that particular project is 3 years. Applicants must certify that they are submitting only one application in response to this solicitation. In other words, you cannot do multiple grant submissions, okay? And so just understand that even if they're separate but related applicant entities, or from a parent affiliation organization, applicants must also list all prior year awards that they've received. So again, they're just trying to make sure that, no one is trying to get double money for the same project. Okay. And we'll talk about that too at the end, about receiving additional grants, not necessarily double money to sustain what you're trying to do or move forward with your project. Once this 3 years is done or what have you, you can't apply for other grants after this cycle is over, and you still may need additional funds. So again, the information that you're gathering for this particular grant will help you to again move forward with making sure that you sustain whatever you've created here. Okay. You must disclose if you have a current value added producer grant. Because remember, we just talked about this thing could be 3 years. And if you don't have a current award, then it says work closely with your state office to exhaust all current award funds and submit final financial and performance reports to the agency by the application submission deadline. Okay. So, again, this is money that they already put out. And they're saying that, make sure that you go in and apply so that all the awards and funds are exhausted. Okay. Failure to close out a current grant by the submission deadline will result in a new application being deemed ineligible. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. If you did not, when it says close out a current grant, that means if you receive monies from them and you did not complete what you said, they will not let you do a new application. Okay. So that is another thing. If you have a current grant out and you did not close it out, then you will not be eligible for a new application. Okay. All right. This is where we could take a break. If I have any questions, I'm coming back to check on that. No questions. Thank you guys again for watching. You're awesome. I appreciate it, and I hope you learn a lot. Applicant type. So again, we were talking about how important it is to understand who you are and where you fall into this thing. And it all depends on your SAMS number, UEI number as well. Again, that will be connected to whether you're a farmer, rancher, or the farm specifically, or cooperative. Okay. So you need to know what are you applying as. Whether you're a farmer or you're applying on behalf of the farm or a cooperative. And understand, if you have an entity, a farm entity, then you can't apply under that. If you do not, you can just apply as a regular farm, even though you have not taken the steps to making it a LLC or an entity. You still can apply for this grant. Okay, so select what is your applicant type here. And it has a drop down menu. And so just to kind of help you understand, are you an agricultural producer? In other words, a farmer or a rancher. Okay. And so that's what that means. If you produce, okay, through the agriculture industry. And that could be any farmer or rancher individual. Okay, that is what an agriculture producer is. So if you find yourself, if that's you, then click on that. Agriculture producer group. And those are maybe like cooperatives that are formed around peas specifically, or, formed around cattle specifically, farmer or rancher cooperatives. Now, why do they say producer group and then farmer rancher cooperatives? Cooperative could mean a marketing cooperative. It doesn't necessarily have to mean a specific animal or a specific product. Okay, so farmer rancher cooperative may be applying for this money to help, and they are education group, and they may need funds to actually talk about what they want to be educating people on. And so that's completely separate. Again, a farmer rancher cooperative versus a agriculture producer group. So can they be the same thing? They both can. But again, you can define yourself if you know that, we just do collard greens. Agriculture producer group is where you would click on. Or if you are a farmer rancher cooperative, and you are, again, functioning as a nonprofit. And again, you all kind of come together to serve as helping value add to producers or ranchers. Majority control producer-based business. Again, you may come together and form a business with some marketing team, or like what I did was my team has, again, IT solutions. It also has someone there for media purposes. We also have someone there for renewable energies. And then, but it is pretty much majority controlled by producers, okay? And that is our main focus for agripreneurs. And so that's kind of what that means, majority controlled producer-based business, okay? And so that may help you, again, select what your applicant type is. And if you don't know, again, they have a cute little need help button at the bottom to contact your state representative, because that's how important this grant is. You can, of course, reach out to them. And if you don't get any help, you can always contact Coach. And I do what I can. Also here, disclose if the applicant is a tribal entity. That's very important. There's lots of money out for tribal entities as well. And that just means, and if you are Native American and you are part of a tribal entity, then of course they can apply for this grant, okay? And at that point, based on your status of your tribe or tribal entity, without regard to the ownership of the commodity to which the value is to be added, so long as the tribal member participant or entity controls more than 50% of an agricultural commodity. So that's another thing if you're a Native American, and we have a lot, and they are definitely a part of our agricultural world. And so if you recognize that you are even a part of that, then if they own some type of commodity, agricultural commodity, even 50%, that will be important. And you could select that for tribal entity. Agricultural producer, again, we just talked about this. You will disclose, though, whether an individual owned entity or the entity is owned by multiple individuals. And that, what does that mean? So if you are a farmer and you just own it outright, your farm, or are you the farmer and it is owned by your siblings? You know, we think multiple individuals, but a lot of times it may be heirs property. And so it wants you to kind of disclose that as well if you're an agricultural producer. And they would like for you, of course, to own at least 100% of the ownership. Well, no, 100% of ownership has to be accounted for. So you can't just say you own 10% and I couldn't contact my cousins or what have you. They definitely want a list of everyone who, or maybe your brothers and sisters who own the actual farm. Okay. And so, and all owners have to be part agricultural producers, okay, for that farm, which is usually the case if you're a family farm and you got that one brother that is working the farm, then you all still own 100% of a farm, okay? If you are, if it does have multiple owners, as you can see, it wants you to add it there. So if you was trying to get around not including those people, that is not the case. And this again gives you a chance to kind of clean up everything that might be going on with your farm as far as ownership. You want to go into value added products. You want to go into grants. Again, these are some foundational things that you need to have cleaned up before you move forward. Okay. Again, 100% accounted for. Everybody, all the individual owners, no matter where they live, everybody's on board and in agreement to moving forward with what you're trying to do as an individual or the representative. Agriculture producers must disclose if they are a harvester. They must summarize their harvesting rights and operations. Agriculture producer group, farmer rancher cooperative, majority control producer-based business applicant types are not eligible to apply as harvesters. Okay, so only an individual can share harvesting rights and operation. Okay. Harvesters are people who actually go into a property, and they are the people who gets to harvest whatever's being grown on that particular farm. So you may have an agreement with an harvester. Okay, that harvester can't apply for this application. All right, as an agricultural producer. And what does that mean? They harvest the crops, they take away everything, and they have the rights to everything that they took away. So some people, again, may not own the land, but they are the harvesters of the land. And that means they, again, have rights to take away what has been produced. Okay. That does not apply for any other applicant type other than agriculture producer. Also, as a steering committee, if applying as a steering committee, the applicant must disclose what type of eligible legal entity they intend to form prior to execution of the financial assistance agreement. So if you come together in a steering committee, I call it a think tank. 100% of the ownership of the entity must be disclosed. So if you are a farmer and you're putting together a group of people to help, and then definitely has to be disclosed what kind of ownership are they going to have at the end of this thing. Okay, that's very important. And everybody wants to know, like, if you got a steering committee, you got a think tank, you done brought everybody together, everybody wants to know, prior to execution, what is the ownership membership percentage, and that must be disclosed. And steering committees are not commonly applied for. Even though we said think tanks and bringing people together for the planning, yes, that's usually where we are. Steering comes normally after that, and those are people, again, who may be more vested in the actual project. So just keep that in mind as the agricultural producer, that you're not applying on behalf of like a steering committee or anything like that. And if that's the case, again, it has to be disclosed what ownership and membership there is. And as you can see, there's plenty of boxes and check marks here to make sure that you go on along with that. Okay, agriculture producer group. Okay, this is the number of individuals on the governing board and the total number of individuals on the governing board who are eligible agriculture producers. So again, you may bring a group of people together, and you may have like your secretary person, or the person who handles all the records or represents you as the business person. All of these people, it must be disclosed if they're part of your producer group. If you got Bill and Tom and Jeff, who are also individuals who are part of this producer group, and they are on the governing board, they have to be, of course, producers or farmers and ranchers. the total number of members, the number of members who are agricultural producers, and the number of participating members must be disclosed. So if your producer group, again, is not just farmers, then they're going to want you to list that. So just be mindful if you select agriculture producer group. What does that mean? It's going to want to know how many members are of the group and who is part of the governing board, and is the governing board farmers and ranchers. Okay, so just understand how important that is, again, to be clear before you move forward with any project. And so I like this part. Okay, again, if you have a producer group, you need to understand the number of members. So you may have 200 people who are part of this producer group. Okay, how many are governing members? Okay, and out of those governing members, who are actual agriculture producers? Okay, normally I have been a part of agriculture producer groups, and I am a participating member mostly because I bring a business aspect and not a producer aspect to the group. And so I would be listed, but guess what? I have an e-authentication account. Okay, so agriculture producer groups must provide information on the participating members, either by name or class. If by name, all participating members must be identified and all members must meet the definition of an agriculture producer. If listed by class, okay, so the applicant must describe the role of the members in the day-to-day production of the agriculture commodity and whether they meet the definition of an agriculture producer. Okay, what does that mean? So if we already are a part of production, okay, and we just have to determine if the participating member by class includes a general description of the member's role in the production, okay, and how they meet the definition of an agriculture producer. So they may not, it may be the farm hand, or it may be someone who helps with cleaning. And so if they are a part and you are going to list them, then they want to know exactly what it is that they're doing. Okay, and so that might be, again, a part of the participating members, okay, of the producer group. Okay, applicant types, agricultural producer groups must provide information by class, which is what we just talked about. And okay, and here, this applicant type, farmer or rancher cooperative, yes, legally incorporated as a farm rancher cooperative. Okay, it's very important. It's not something that you all decided y'all were going to do. Y'all are recognized. Okay, identified by the state in which you operate as a farmer rancher owned and cooperative operated business. Okay, the total percentage of ownership shares owned by the producers must be disclosed, along with the number of eligible producer members who will participate in this value-added project. So you may have a farmer or rancher cooperative that does a number of things. For this particular grant you are applying for, value-added, let's say for your cattle members, cattlemen members. And so it's going to want you to list the number of cattlemen and that you have, and the number of cattlemen that'll be participating in this particular project. So again, that is very important. If you are a farmer rancher cooperative, they want to know exactly who is this affecting. So details on how the farmer rancher cooperative organization works on this project will benefit the participating members, and that will be discussed. Okay, and so that's very important. If you are a farmer or rancher cooperative and you are applying as such, that you definitely know exactly what members you're targeting and who will participate in the value added producer grant. You must provide information on the participating members. Again, if by name, all participating members must be identified. All owner members must meet definition of an ag producer. So by class, that means they're not a member, but they work alongside with you guys. Again, so you must describe the role, okay, of these particular people in the day-to-day production and whether they meet the definition of an ag producer. Okay, so again, owner or member, and they should be working again in the day-to-day production if they are listed, okay, as participating when it comes to this particular grant. Majority control producer-based business is also part of the selection or a part of the options for applicant types. So you must provide details on how the venture works on this project and how this will benefit the participating owners and members. Again, this is another option under applicant type, and be sure that you are selecting the right one because the questions that follow are to, again, support that particular applicant type that you have selected. Majority control producer-based businesses must provide a list of by name of all the owners, their percentage of financial ownership, percentage of voting control in the organization, and whether they are an eligible agriculture producer. Okay, that means more than 50% of the ownership and the voting control must be held by people who are defined as agriculture producers. So again, just keep that in mind. If you're a bunch of businessmen and you're trying to do the right thing by the producers, you need to get you some producers on board, part of your governing board, and it should be more of them than it is of you. More than half of the ownership or voting control should be people who are agriculture producers or farmers or ranchers. Okay. All right. Again, thank everybody so much for coming and watching. We really appreciate your time. And yes, and again, if you have any questions, and you can post questions after this has actually aired, I will go back at the end of this thing. I will also list my own information for you to reach out. Value added producer grant. Again, it's been around since 2000. And it is like a risk management thing, again, to help make sure that we're moving forward. And who is the king of value added? George Washington Carver. So you can just look into, again, how he had just pulled a peanut apart, squished it down to nothing, to oil. And so, yes, king of value added producer grant is he. All right, so let us continue. Describing your value-added agriculture product. Again, we're here, okay? Specify if the project involves a food-related product. So the USDA gathers information for the purpose of project reporting. So everything is done in numbers. So your answer to this question does not impact eligibility or scoring. It is derived from agricultural commodities, and they do not need to be food related to qualify. But again, they just would like to know if this is a food related product. Disclose whether your value added ag product is alcohol or hemp related. Okay. So if you are wondering, alcohol, tobacco, yes, okay, a point of war selection. If the product will produce and market a value-added ag product in the industries of wine, beer, distilled spirits, alcoholic merchandise, or a valid TTB permit must be provided. Okay, so if the project will market a value-added ag product made from hemp, a copy of a valid producer license issued by the state, tribe, or USDA must be provided as applicable in accordance with 7 CFR Part 990. So if you are doing hemp, you must have a producer license issued by the state. And so what we are doing in the month of March here at the Ag Up World, we're focusing on industrial hemp. It is one of those black crops that we know is going to save the world, 50,000 uses. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And yes, if you have a value-added product made from hemp, you can also use this grant to help you move further. Okay. Provide information about the value-added ag product. So if you are producing more than one product, you may list them separately by using the add new product. Each product added must meet eligibility criteria. Again, whatever you're trying to produce. So let's just say I got carrots. So I want to produce carrots, packaged carrots, and I want to produce bottled carrot juice. And so my value added grant I'm using to package and turn carrots into juice. Okay. So those two products there, and they should be listed. And of course, they will be checked to be eligibility criteria. So when we talk about eligible criteria, it at least needs to be one agricultural commodity, okay, and one value added methodology, okay, and so again, carrots, carrot juice, those are definitely products, and as we add them, those are eligible. Okay. For each value added ag product you intend to produce as a result of the project, you must provide the agricultural commodity it is produced from. Okay. Just like I was talking about carrot juice. Okay. The commodity, of course, is carrots. All right. And so just keeping that in mind. Or let's say you want to produce sausage. So the product that you will be making or producing, of course, the commodity, the ag commodity is hog or pork, right? I think you can do beef sausage. So again, this is where you need to be clear about exactly what commodity is it coming from. Okay. Working capital applicants must provide the quantity of agricultural commodity needed for the project, unit of measurement. And I always like to let's just start with a small portion. If I had one sausage, how many pounds of pork or hog would I need? And that's kind of how you need to start quantifying what you're doing. You need to be able to put a number on exactly what you're producing. Okay. If I had one hog that is 150 pounds, and then from that 150 pounds, how much sausage would I be able to make from that? Okay. So the quantity owned and produced by the applicant and the quantity needed to purchase from a third party. So let's just say, you may need to also purchase other hogs from somewhere else, again, to meet the quantity that you need. So they want you to kind of define all of that: quantity owned and produced by you, quantity needed to purchase from a third party. And that may be someone who does like herbs and things of that nature in order to mass produce it or even be able to use this particular processing plant, my farm would not be enough. I may need to connect to others. Okay. Applicants must own and produce more than 50% of the commodity needed for the project. So if the majority of your stuff is from somewhere else, then you may not be able to qualify for this. But at least you must own and produce more than 50% of the commodity you need for this particular project. For each value-added ag product listed, and for each ag commodity you are producing it from, you must select value-added methodology that best fits your proposed value-added agricultural product and explain the method of process used. Okay, change in the physical state. And that's what they mean by value-added methodology. How is this from a commodity to a value-added product? Okay, like jams and jellies, right? I got this from my peaches, and I jellied them and turned them into preserves. That is my methodology, okay, for my value-added product, okay? And it explains the method of process that I'm using, okay? Whether I say carrot juice, let me just stick with that, okay? My methodology for that is we take the carrots and we squeeze them, or we put them through a juicer, and we take out the pulp and we put the juice in bottles. Okay, that is our method of process used. Okay. Complete all agricultural commodity certifications. Okay. We do not grow or raise commodities under contract for another entity, nor contract out the production of the subject commodity to another entity. So this is really just, again, to add value to what you're doing, not to what someone else is doing. Okay. We currently grow and raise and own the majority of the commodity to which value will be added in this project. Okay. So again, that's very important that you are helping yourself, your bottom line, and not anyone else's. Forgive me, people, about me in my face too tough. Okay, so certified that the majority of the raw commodity that will be used as the input of the project is produced in the United States. Okay, and so that again is very important in when we're talking about agricultural commodity certifications. Okay, you guys. Completing the work plan budget. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to stop again and just check and make sure that we all are good when it comes to so far. All right, that was a lot of information to cover, but again, I just want to make sure we're on board. If you open up the portal yourself, and you can use this YouTube to walk yourself through it as we answer questions. Okay, thank you again for watching, and we appreciate you. And again, this was an early edition, so we may have people coming on a little later, but again, it was so that we can make sure we walk through the whole thing in the time frame allotted. Okay, so completing the work plan and budget. I love this portal again because this is the foundation work that you need for whatever you're going to try to do in the future. So if you are coming together with some other people, if you yourself have a great idea, if you really want to use this money to propel you forward, you really need to make sure you have a complete work plan and budget. Remember, this particular grant has a time frame of 3 years from the time that you are awarded the money to the time that it should end. Okay. And how do you know when that is? You should already have projections based on 2025. You know that this particular grant closes in April. And so for that reason, April, May, June, I will probably start this thing probably July or August. Okay, August, September being the start date, because again, For the work plan and budget, you only have about 3 years for this particular grant. Okay, so if you're not doing a planning grant, this is the work plan and budget for working capital. That means you already kind of have figured out what project you want to do. You've identified the location of where you want this to be at. You know who all the participants are for this particular work plan project. And you're ready to move forward with identifying the costs. Okay. And budgets come in two forms. Pre-budgets, that means I don't have any money. I don't have a clue. I got to figure out each line item, what I think it may cost. Okay. Pre-budget. Post-budget, or the second type of budget, is after you've actually done it. And now this is what it really costs. This is the real amount. Okay. So we have our pre-budget. And that's kind of what we're going to work on right now, our working capital. And then we have our post budget, which after a year should give us clear of answers of how our budget should look from here on out into the future. Okay. So if you select appropriate working capital application type for your project and respond to all corresponding questions, explanations for the 4 available working capital options are provided. Okay, some options are dependent on prior selections in the grant application portal and may not be selected. And it'll be grayed out if you can. Okay, an example is if you listed a grant amount of $50,000 or more on the application detail page, you will not be able to choose simplified application of less than $50,000 as shown in the diagram. Okay, so just kind of be mindful of that you don't just do random numbers. You want to be as close as you can. And again, they have just 4 different types in simplified application of less than $50,000 is one working capital application type. Another is market expansion. Okay. Another is emerging markets. All right. When I think of emerging markets, I think of local. You know, some I could probably throw in the back of my truck. State. Okay. State market, emerging market. For you might be the state, you know. Locally, you know, you probably have been given to your neighbors and now you want to set up, you know, maybe in a store or your own little corner farmer's market, emerging market. So that's local, state. And then you have nation or national markets. And then, of course, international markets. So emerging markets could go from local to international. So keep that in mind. And then food safety. That is always a really big deal. The main reason USDA is in place is if somebody gets sick, we need to be able to trace that thing back down to the row it came from. And so food safety, of course, is also very important. Okay, so emerging market application. So if you choose this one, you must include an independent feasibility study. And what does that mean? Feasibility study is this even going to work? Okay, I'm going to try and go into this particular market, whether it be state or national or international. And is it feasible for you? That means, do you have the resources that you need to even be able to carry out going into these new markets? Do you have a logistics plan or partners in place to help you move product? Do you have storage wherever the market is that you are expanding into? Is that a place where you can do storage or processing? And so you have to do a feasibility study to see if this works. You know, some actual research has to be done if you decide to use this particular selection under working capital. And that's okay, because remember, you want to know. You don't want to go out there and throwing, you know, good money after bad because you think you know. Okay. Also required is a business plan completed specifically for the purpose of this value-added project. Okay, so how do I do that? I know what this project is. And again, a business plan is just going to go over the inputs. Okay, and that means who will be doing the work. Are there any drivers needed? When I think of business plan, do I need a facility, a location? Okay, who are my competitors that are around me that's trying to do the same thing? And believe you, there's nothing new under the sun, so you definitely have competitors or people who are doing something similar, very, very close to what you're doing. And you need to seek them out, see how well they're doing. If they're doing $200 for a photograph and you're a photographer and you only do 50, feasibility wise, you're not going to survive. You know, people, you would think, oh, I'm cheaper. But no, people, when it comes to photographs, they want quality. So they're going to pay that $200. What does that mean for you? You should have charged $200. You're missing out on $150 that you could have had. And a feasibility study would have showed you that $200 has been working for your competitors. It works around the nation, and that is feasible for you to sell your photographs. And let me just make it about agriculture. Your watermelons, they're selling their watermelons for $8. If you have the same quality, size, and red meat, yellow meat watermelon, then then you can sell yours at that price too. Cheaper doesn't always mean better, and make sure you have a contract on all of this stuff. Okay. And again, around the value added project, I want to think a business plan, exactly break even analysis. If we get startup costs and we have actual processing plant, tell me exactly how much is that going to cost and when can we pay it off, or will we need to get a loan for that, or do we have partners that will donate? Things of that nature are all inside your business plan. The applicant cannot have supplied the proposed product, either geographic or demographic market, for more than 2 years at time of application submission. In other words, if you got started and you kind of been fumbling, long as it hasn't been over 2 years, you can still apply for this emerging market application. Okay. Again, even if you have supplied the proposed product, it cannot be over 2 years, okay, at the time that you apply for this particular grant. Okay. Food safety applications that demonstrate that they meet the eligible requirements for food safety will automatically be considered for food safety reserved funds. I work with Freddie Hagan, who is near Metter, Georgia. And he is constantly getting certifications around food safety. And so if this is definitely working capital that you want to pursue, make sure that you are up to date as well on all the eligible requirements for food safety. Applicants must certify that more than 50% of the related budget expenses are for food safety related activities. Again, certifications, they aren't cheap. Being able to pull your farm up, or getting the right equipment that you may need so that you can carry out food safety related activities is very important. Applicants must describe the need or requirement for food safety related training, certifications, and or supplies and equipment for a post-harvest value-added agricultural product. Okay. So as you can see, even whatever you're doing, you may need to have food safety regulations. And so this money too can help with that. GAP certification, the other GAP, Good Agricultural Practices, requires a lot of certification, supplies, equipment, training, post-harvest things needed, and that could be very costly, especially if you have a number of farms included. So again, even as cooperatives, food safety applicant, working capital, can be very helpful in helping you to get the other farms up to par. You have partnered with other producers and their farms aren't quite what they need to be. You can apply as a cooperative for the food safety working capital to bring everybody up to base. Okay. And it can also help you reach new customers, enter into a new market, reach new customers through emerging market or market expansion requirements. Market expansion, and this says agriculture producers only, so that means no one else, other applicant types can apply for this particular working capital. Okay, market expansion projects are for an existing value-added ag product that has been produced and successfully marketed for at least 2 years. Okay, so if you are successful in what you have been doing, and I know someone who grows elderberries because they grow wild, and so they pick them and turn them into elderberry jam and jellies and juice. Okay, and so if you've been successful with that, then this is for you, market expansion. Okay, and the success has to have been going on at least 2 years. Okay, market expansion applicants must provide a business or a marketing plan. Okay, and it must summarize your history of producing and marketing, the subject of this particular grant, and summarize the results of the business or the marketing plan. Okay. And so basically, you've been doing this for a while. You've been making tinctures or hemp butter, which is good for your skin, or just different products already that you have been successfully marketing for at least 2 years. Then you can use this market expansion working capital selection. Okay. And again, you should have a marketing plan, and that should be a part of your business plan. But definitely the marketing plan should talk about how you want to get into other markets, whether you want to connect with a distribution company, if you want to do commercials, or again, website, things of that nature, again, that could help you move your bottom line up. Okay, simplify application of less than 50,000. Okay, a lot of us want to just click on that, but know your worth. Okay, know what you're trying to do. Don't just take any number and see if it'll work for you. Okay, this is usually for individuals who may want to just add something to their farm or add something to whatever else they've been doing. I do know some cattle farmers who have put harvesting machines on their farm. They've also put a way to clean cut, beef selections. Those things may not cost as much, but again, just be mindful if you select this as your working capital, that you're eligible. So you must discuss how the value-added product will reach a new customer base, or enter into a new market, or reach new customers either through the emerging market or market expansion requirements. However, your agriculture producer groups, farmer or rancher cooperatives, and majority control producer-based business ventures are not eligible for market expansion and must describe how they are entering into an emerging market. Okay, applicants for this type of working capital application do not need to provide a feasibility study or business plan, but you still need to say what you're doing with the money. Okay, you have to certify and understand that you are applying for a grant, and you are not required to provide a business plan, but you understand that this does not change the merit evaluation of scoring elements that you must demonstrate that there is an expected increase in your revenue. So just keep that in mind, that even though you don't have to do a feasibility study or business plan, you do need to show how, if you receive working capital for your project, that it will, again, increase your bottom line. Okay, all applicants must provide a detailed work plan and budget. Okay, and that includes a narrative. So, instead of just the numbers, you can talk about or describe the activities and tasks associated with this particular project. A detailed budget breakdown of the estimated costs allocated for these activities and tasks, okay, is required. You do need to know, again, have an idea of exactly what the cost may be. Okay. Identification of key personnel. Who's going to be responsible? I mean, do you have a clean, someone who can help you with the processing and keeping things clean? That's very important. And so you will also have to identify key personnel. If you're the only person working, you still need to show exactly what are your tasks and that you will be doing, that this money will support. Okay. Time frame for completion of the activities and tasks. Okay. So if you're the main person going, or if you have workers or anything, by the end of this project, we need to talk about exactly what the activities and task frames for this 3-year time frame. Now, it does give you 3 years. You do not have to take that long, but it does have a cap of 3 years, this particular grant. Okay. Identification of the source and use of grants and any matching funds for all activities and tasks, and the period of performance that meets the start and end date requirements. Performance deadlines, you guys, those are very important as well. You need to know, after 3 months, did we do what we said we will have done in 3 months? After 6 months, did we do what we say we would have done in 6 months? After 2 years, you got to have a period of performances and evaluations that meet the start and end date requirements for this particular grant. When I think of matching funds, so we asked for 50,000. Do you have matching funds of 50,000? People are thinking in their bank account, but in reality, your line items do count. So let's say it costs you, it cost me, I want a grant for 50,000, but the leasing of the land, the different equipment that we already own that we will use toward this project, those are considered matching funds as well. So if it costs you, $20,000 to lease and to lease the land for those 3 years, if it costs you to monies that you're going to pay out, that would be matching funds. Okay. So line items also count. Let's say things that you already own. Let's say, or even donations, in-kind donations, everything has a dollar amount attached to it. And for that reason, can be used toward matching funds. So even though you say, I don't have 50,000, you may in land and equipment and in assets. Or even if you plan to donate your services for a cost. Again, those also could be considered as matching funds. Okay. Upload required documents. Okay. So there, unfortunately, in this portal, you can't put in a lot of this information. You're going to need to have it on a spreadsheet, or you may need to have it, again, somewhere else, wrote down in a table-like presentation, so that again, it can be uploaded. When it asks you about expenses, commercial kitchen rental, just a number of things, again, can be added under expenses. And so whoever, if you're doing kitchen rental, you need to upload who the rental agreement is with, and how much should also be on there as well. Estimates are something that businesses do not mind giving you on their letterhead. So please make sure anything that you upload, any document, it has a letterhead to it. If it is your expenses, it still has your letterhead on it. If you are working with anybody like kitchen rental, make sure you have something with their letterhead and their real signatures. That is always looks professional if you have real signatures. And do not be afraid to ask for estimates. If you don't have a clue about what you're doing and you can't go to an expert to give you a clue, then this might not be the project for you. You literally need to go in with the level head of knowing all the pieces to the puzzle. Okay. And you need to be able to put a dollar amount on all of the pieces to the puzzle. Each expense must be for eligible purposes. Okay. Planning budget, that does not include, we meet for lunch every day, and that is an eligible expense. And I'm not saying that it may not be covered through this particular grant, but just understanding what would be an eligible expense for planning. Though to get a actual blueprint, we know the location, we know what it should look like. To actually get a blueprint, it costs money. Any permits or anything that you may need to put into place before you can actually carry out your working capital as far as planning is concerned, those would be eligible expenses. Okay, if you had to hire a consultant to come in and work with you all, again, those are eligible expenses. So just kind of be mindful of that. Don't just add anything in there. And letterhead is key here when we're talking about just being professional. Okay, for each expense, look at this, how lovely it is. List how it will be paid, grant funds or matching funds. So again, in your budget, because this is your budget, and they want you to list for each expense. Are you using grant monies for that, or are you going to have matching funds for that? And this is helpful to help you see the big picture of where is the money going and what are we doing with it. What are its intentions, and are our intentions eligible for this particular grant monies? Okay, review your budget carefully. This section will impact both eligibility and scoring. Okay, program staff are available through the need help. So again, if you are unsure about or you have questions around what are eligible expenses, there is a click need help button on the side there. So you make sure you do that if you are unsure. And of course, you can call Coach and I will do what I can. Emails are best so that I can respond in a timely manner. For each expense, list the category. Ooh, I love that. Okay. And I like budgets when they have categories and then the smaller line items up under there. Key personnel, and then, farmhand, storage facility personnel, that sort of thing. List the category it will be paid from. So again, we should be pulling this information either from a spreadsheet or a table that we have taken time to put together of our expenses. Okay, so here in step 9, they're even challenging you a little bit further to be organized with what you're doing. List the category it will be paid from. So first you had to go and say whether it was grant monies or whether it was matching funds. Now, no matter where it comes from, what category will it be paid from? Okay. And this is good for when you write checks for your projects. You need to, when at the bottom of your check where it says for, this is where you would list the category on your check. Okay. So as you start writing out things and paying for stuff, that little 4 at the bottom is for the category from which this account or this will be paid from. This particular monies on this check will be paid from this category or account. Okay. And just keep in mind that even the responsible parties is from the start and the end date of the activity. Even though they may continue on, remember, we're just keeping calculations for this particular project. Okay. If you would like to upload documentation such as estimates, quotes, historical costs, support for your project expenses, you may do so in the Uploads Files tab. And remember what I told you, everything needs to have letterhead, okay? Estimates, from wherever you're getting them from, it should have their letterhead. Quotes, it should have their letterhead. Historical costs, your letterhead. And where you found the information, okay? Let's just say you don't have a estimate or quote, you got historical costs. Where did you get this information from? And you cannot say Uncle Eddie. Okay, so again, you need to have a business that you are referring these things to, and these to support your project expenses. Okay, remember, we got to have line items. We need to know what category they belong to. We need to know whether we got matching funds or are we going to use this grant money from it. Okay, and then are these numbers paired up with an estimate or a quote or historical costs. Okay, and then when we do have this information, upload it. Don't forget to hit the save and continue button. Okay. Okay. In the budget summary, ensure that you've added adequate expenses to account for the amount listed. Okay. In the grants and matching funds. All right. And look at that red error messages if your amounts don't match. Duh. So again, you should be pulling these numbers from either a spreadsheet or a table that you have already put together. Okay. If you get one of these messages, red error messages, that your amount doesn't match, shame on you. Okay. That means you're making it up as you go. Don't do that. You will get caught up. All right. Again, take time out. Figure out what your work plan and budget is for the amount of time that you have for this particular grant. 3-year max. And it has to start from when the time you receive the funds. Okay? No red error messages. Complete all certifications in the use of working capital funds certification section. I certify that the proposed project does not include costs for ineligible activities. I certify. I mean, you're thinking like, oh, I got to go out and get something. No, they're going to make you lift up your left hand, put your right hand on the Bible. Okay, that's what they mean by certifications in this particular section. Okay, they want you to say, I certify that I will not use these funds in the wrong manner, pretty much. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Again, that they're pretty much going to ask you to put your hand on the Bible, raise your left hand about everything that you've done. If you've ever done anything with the government, then you know in the end they want to make sure you say, I didn't lie on this application. I'm not just taking these funds for no reason. So please complete all certifications in the use of the working capital funds certification section. Okay. Planning grants. All right. So thank you guys again so much for joining, and I really appreciate your time, and I hope you guys can get a lot out of this. Again, you can just flip to the parts that you are familiar with in your walk in your grant portal, or again, you can just listen to it from beginning to end to make sure that you understand. But this is, again, a great walkthrough if you have your own portal. open, then you can figure out and maneuver through. And at the end, I will be giving my information out to assist you with this grant. Okay, plan and grant applicants. Complete the work, plan, and budget. Same thing, right? Ensure your responses are thorough and that you respond to all questions. Okay. Applicants must provide a work plan and budget description that outlines how the funds will be used and must be for the development of a feasibility study, business plan, or marketing plan. Remember, the planning grant is good when you really you just have an idea, but you don't have those line items yet. Okay. You still have to complete a work plan and budget, even if you're planning. And remember that doesn't include meals, but it may include hiring a consultant. It may include having blueprints made, or even going to the trademark association, or even starting a website. Okay. And so again, in all of the work plan and budgets, they're going to definitely want you to make sure you certify that you are not doing anything wrong. Okay. So planning grant funds may be used to pay for a qualified consultant to conduct and develop a feasibility study, business plan, and or marketing plan associated with the processing or marketing of a value-added product. When completing the itemized expense section, planning grant applicants may request funds to pay for the development of a feasibility study, business plan, or marketing plan. The budget can be for one, all, or any combination of these three items. It is most common that applicants apply for a feasibility study and a business plan. The feasibility study comes first because it's usually like, is this going to work? And then basically the information that you receive, you can put a business plan together saying, this is how it's going to work. Here's a 3-year projection about the amount of money we should be making, where our break-even analysis is, and where our startup costs look like. Okay, so for planning grants, you have to select the expense items you wish to include, provide a breakdown for the total project cost of the grant proposal in the budget table. And for each expense, you must identify if it will be paid with grant, matching funds, or both. Your total grant amount, matching fund amount, and the total project cost must equal what you listed on the application detail page. Okay? Matching funds must be verified on the overseeing the activities on the matching fund page. Okay? For each document that will be developed as a result of this project, include the category it will be expensed from, the responsible party, and base for the valuation. Overseeing the project, a start and end date specific to the expense item that falls within the period of performance, and a detailed explanation and clarification to include the basis for the variation, such as a vendor quote or contract. So again, this is for the planning grant applicants. Okay, for each expense, listed category will be paid from, the key personnel responsible for the task, the start and end date for the activity, and include a thorough description and justification for the expense, to include an expense valuation, which is what I just said. But hey, guess what? They have line items for you to put this information in. Okay, for each expense, they want a category. They want to know the personnel. They want to know where the money's coming from. Okay, and the valuation, which means what is the amount. Okay. Lucky for you, in the planning grant, you get a budget summary, ensures that you've added adequate expenses to the account for the amount listed. Okay. You'll receive a red error message if your amounts do not match. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but your amounts should match. You should be pulling these numbers from either a spreadsheet or a table. Okay. You receive a red error message if your amounts do not match. Okay. So if you need to adjust at some point, please return to that application detail page to do so. You can go back in this portal, but don't forget to hit save and continue as you go on. Okay. I thought this was very important, understanding matching fund requirements. Okay. Validate your matching funds on the matching funds tab. The grant needs to be matched with at least $1 in matching funds for every dollar in grant requested. Okay. So again, if you ask for 50,000 and your matching fund should look like 50,000. And that doesn't mean money in the bank necessarily, but again, it could be in-kind donations, it could be equipment, it could be land, it could be leasing. Okay. If you need to adjust, remember, go back to that application detail page because they have to match. Itemized tax expenses, and that's the section of your work plan and budget. If edits are needed to be need for your pledge matching funds to be changed. Okay. Itemized tax expenses. All right. So for matching fund certification, here we go. Complete all verifications and matching fund certifications for matching funds. And again, what is the certification? Hand on your Bible, left hand up, I certify. Okay. So make sure you're being honest here. And we'll definitely be certified by the end of the checklist. Okay. This is a part here too. Working capital and planning grant options. They are really helping you in a way. I know this can seem tedious, but again, this is part of the application process for your value-added producer grant. Okay. Provide details about your expanded customer base and increased revenue. So you must cite one or more relevant sources to support the response statements and data below. More research. Okay. Responses must be supported. Support, you keep hearing that, support relevant sources. Again, research. Okay, so responses must be supported by project-specific analysis, such as a feasibility study, a marketing plan, or a business plan developed for the project and included with this application. For working capital grant applications that do not require submissions of a feasibility study business plan, responses must identify a relevant authority source or independent for response data provided. Okay. Research. And this is either for the working capital or planning grant options. And they want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. If you haven't done a feasibility study, you didn't do a business plan, you still need to have some reputable source saying what you're talking about is going to be profitable. Okay. Letterhead is always good. When we talk about the word source, where did you get it from? Was it a book? Was it a person? Was it online? Again, you should be able to list where you got your sources from. That's going to be important again in moving forward in the scoring of what you are getting done. At any upload, anything that is professionally projected for this particular project. Okay. Expansion of customer base and increased revenue. Your feasibility study should be able to show that if you're going into new markets, and increased revenue should be shown either through your projections or in your marketing plan. Things of that nature there should be some type of a spreadsheet or table in place. Okay. And enter anticipated revenue and any job creation information. That is, again, a part of that work plan and budget. Okay, working capital applicants only. Again, enter anticipated revenue and any job creation information. That's very important in what you're doing. Whether you know it or not, if it includes more than just yourself, you are participating in job creation. Okay. And all of this is helping move agriculture in the right direction. Okay. And definitely making sure you are moving in the right direction. Yes, as your business gets bigger, you should have job creation going on. As your business gets bigger, even with this value added producer grant, you should have anticipated revenue growth. Okay. They didn't say the word growth, but that's exactly what they're looking for: anticipated revenue growth. Adding value to your farm should produce anticipated revenue growth. And you should be able to predict that based on a feasibility study, a marketing plan, or a business plan. Again, it should have projections in there for the next 3 years. Not just to cover the grant period, but to show that you know what you're doing. And again, we have a break-even analysis. We know when we have reached the monies that it took to get this thing started. Our break-even analysis is now we can actually start paying investors or even ourselves, because the money that we put into starting this business, we now have gained back through revenue, and that is our break-even analysis. Exactly how much money will it take for us to get back to zero from the money it took, again, to get this thing started, to bring it back to zero. This is our break-even analysis. The revenue and expenses should come to a place, our break-even analysis. And then at that point, our revenue should start to increase. So you should be able to show where you have started and now you've ready to grow. Okay. And that is what this is about when it says any job creation or anticipated revenue. Okay. Merit evaluation system. We cannot do this without evaluating what we're doing. Okay, that is very important. The nature of the proposed venture. Okay, merit evaluation criteria. And so this is pretty much the agency will rank and select applicants for funding based on the scores for each proposed merit evaluation criteria. So this is just letting you know exactly what the criteria is for them grading these applications. Okay. And of course, don't be surprised. Nature of proposed venture, technology feasibility. That stuff is important. So you can just, again, click on merit evaluation to find out exactly, again, what things are they looking for when they are looking into your particular application? Is everything clear? Is everything detailed? Can they clearly understand how your project is meeting this particular criterion? As you go through, make sure that your explanations, anything that you have uploaded, will be clear, detailed responses to these particular criterion that they have listed here for you. It is very transparent when they list the merit evaluations. We call this a rubric in colleges and in schools. And we love rubrics because now we know exactly what's important to our professors or to whoever who may be grading. Again, ensure all elements of each questions are addressed. For each criteria, demonstrate how the project has merit and provide rationale for the likelihood of the success. Responses that do not address all aspects of the criteria in a meaningful way, if they do not convey relevant project information, will receive a lower score. Okay, that is not what you want around this camp, right? You do not want a lower score. So please view the agency's annual notification for a detailed breakdown of the scoring in the merit evaluation section. Again, that's very important that what you are doing for each criterion, you have to demonstrate how your project meets that merit and provide rationale. Yes, it has to make sense. Provide rationale means yes, it has to make sense. Okay. And not only does it have to make sense, it has to make dollars. Okay. The likelihood of success. Okay. Provide a rationale. That means it's got to make sense. Okay. And then the likelihood of success. That means it's got to make dollars. Okay. And if your responses don't address it, then you'll get a lower score and you may not receive this grant. Okay. Finalizing your application. So let me just double check. Do I have any questions? No, I do not. Yes, we have reached the 2-hour mark. Normally, this program is just an hour and a half. But again, it's to help you to go through your value-added producer grant portal. As you go through it, then you can definitely see exactly what you need to be working on. This grant isn't due till April. So please make sure that you have everything you need. I've walked through this whole thing with you. There is not a place that I feel like, again, we have not covered that you don't need to be successful with this grant. Merit evaluation also will let you know, it is the rubric for the grant to let you know exactly what they consider important and what they will be grading you on. Again, this is a lot of money that they have out there for adding value to producers. So please take advantage of it. And yes, you guys, let's wrap this on up. Finalizing your application. So you may have uploaded any additional documentations that support your application submission. Okay. Again, there is an upload files button. So please upload everything you, again, feel you may need that's pertinent to this application. And we talked about just stuff having logos on it, making sure that you get estimates, any historical data. Research is important if you have to partner with someone to make sure that you cover all the bases, then you need to do that. You reach the character limit of any throughout the grant application portal, and you need to provide more details. Please use additional documents. And what do you put on the top? Whatever it is, wherever you did a character limit at, please put that at the top or in the description of the document and upload it onto the additional documents page. Again, if you feel like you weren't able to get everything in, there is no excuse. You can just write it down, type it up somewhere else, and again, upload it under additional documents. Review each section of the application for accuracy and completeness, and print the application for your record if needed. Please print this off so you can read it and see what it is that you're turning in, okay? I love to have paper documents for my records, okay? So any grant that I put in, when it comes to this part right here, please print for your records. Do that, as always, to review. If they are to send you any notices or notifications, you won't know what they're talking about if you don't have that printout right there in front of you. So again, go through each section, make sure it says exactly what it needs to. I love to go back because if I'm trying to do something and I just got it, a good momentum going, and I'm filling it out, when I go back, I might realize, oh, I could add in some more details here. So it's important that you go back and review each section of the application and make sure you put in everything you needed, because a lot of the merit is going to be based on your completeness to describe exactly what your needs are as far as this particular project is concerned. Submit the application for final certification. So again, once everything has been done, 8 checks is what you're going to get. Okay, merit evaluation, expansion of your customer base and increased revenue, matching funds, work plan and budget, value-added agricultural product, applicant type, application details, all have green checks beside them. You are ready to submit. Again, I like this portal because it goes through everything you need for this grant. And if you notice, you have learned a lot about what it is you're producing. You learned about the commodity it may have come from. You've also learned about the work plan you'll need to go on to the next steps. You've also developed a budget, pre-budget, post-budget, hopefully. Expansion of your customer base and increased revenue, which is also very important. And again, the information that you've gathered here will allow for you to apply for other grants to support the work that you're doing. So just be mindful of that. There's lots of different organizations giving out money that may be able to support your project from a different angle or a different category that you may need to cover. So keep that in mind. Finalize your application in the review and submit section. And once you've done that, boom, boom. We got another certification coming up. And what kind of certification is that? Put your right hand on the Bible, lift your left hand up, and yes, I certify. Okay. So provide the final submission certification and submit your application. Okay. That is it. Again, this is a great portal to help you to make sure you don't forget anything. Don't get discouraged. Go through it. Whatever parts that you need to work on, you can reach out to me or to another third party to help you, again, to formulate whatever it is that you may need for this particular grant. And also any side questions that you may have. Don't forget that need help button in the portal is to your state representative, and it's to others who, again, can help you with those particular parts or sections in the portal. CQC Advantage, compliance and quality control is what this is all about, to get you, again, into the market. And so value-added producer grants is for those who are ready to move forward, who are ready to go into the market, who are ready to do new things with their farm. So if that's you, you're in the right place. This is my information. If you guys need it, just make sure that you reach out. The best way is through email, of course. And that way I can respond in a timely manner and get you what you need. No problem. All right, you guys, I'm going to just stop sharing my screen. And yes, and we are done. Thank you again so much for walking through this grant with me. I know it was a lot, but when you are trying to do something productive, it is never quick. It always seems like a lot. But just remember that the time that you put in will be the production that you get out. It's all about planting, growing, and harvesting together. Ag Up World, thank you again so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to Ag Up World. And yes, I hope this was helpful for you and that you got a lot out of it. And again, we'll be doing more content like this in the future because this is what's needed. Okay, Ag Up World with Coach K. And this has been your value added producer grant walkthrough. If you need anything, give me a call. Peace.